Hi there and welcome back to another video. This is Gina from McGuire. Today's technique is super simple, but it's a trick that I think every card maker should know because it's the easiest way to create an ombre background. It takes very little effort and time and can be used on a variety of cards. Now my two cards today are actually Advent calendar cards. These are really fun. I have two versions, one where Lila wrote little messages underneath each ornament, and another where there are little messages stored behind each little window. So for the days leading up to Christmas, the recipient can open a different window to see something inside. I will be using the newest Hero Arts My Monthly Hero Kit. This is the kit for November. It includes a large cling stamp that actually has little ornaments that you can take out to get different looks. It also includes a clear stamp set and a large background die that cuts the little flip windows for the Advent calendar. And you can see there are embossing powders too. I will only be using the cling stamp and that background die for today's video. So I have some red cardstock here, and here is that cling stamp. You can see how 3 of the ornaments come out so that you can stamp with or without them, and you can stamp those ornaments individually. I'm using my MISTI stamping tool just because it's handy, but you definitely do not need a stamping tool to stamp with this. Okay, so I have an anti-static powder tool that I'm applying to my surface first because I'm going to be doing heat embossing, and it's a great way to make sure you get clean, crisp results. I'm inking up my stamp with VersaMark Ink. Then I'm going to put a lot of pressure on this. When you have a big background stamp like this, the more pressure you put, the better. Okay, now I'm adding my Hero Arts white embossing powder. When you do this, you want to make sure you cover all the areas very generously so that you can end up with the best result when you heat emboss. I really like the look of white embossing powder against a colored background. But keep in mind, you could do this ombre inking over silver or gold embossing powder, and that would be beautiful too. Okay, so I let my heat gun warm up a bit, and then I went ahead and brought it to the paper to melt all that embossing powder. Now it's time to do that easy ink blending. All you need is a good white pigment ink. I like Hero Arts Unicorn White Pigment Ink. And then some sort of inking tool, and I'm using a Ranger Mini Ink Blending Tool. What I'm doing is I'm putting the white ink down heavily on one end, and then softening it as I work towards the other end. Now it might not look that impressive here, but once I trim it down, I'll end up with a beautiful ombre from dark to light. And I didn't even have to apply a red ink to this. So that white ink would work for ombre on any colored cardstock. You just want to make sure you put it heavier towards one end. And you want to dry it along the way so that it doesn't transfer onto other projects. Okay, so now I'm lining up that background die that's included in the My Monthly Hero Kit, running it through my die cut machine. Any die cut machine would work. And this will cut all the ornaments, but not along the top, so they actually end up being little flip windows. So there are all the days leading up to Christmas. So let's do another one here. I wanted to show you that this does work on any color of cardstock. And I'm starting with the white ink very heavily on one end, and then I'll soften my way out. Because this is a pigment ink, it blends out easily, so you don't have to worry about harsh lines at all, and you can buff any of the excess ink off. That's what makes this so easy and so fast and gives like fail-proof results, is because you aren't trying to blend any dark dye inks. You're just using this white pigment ink that blends like butter. So I find I get much better ombre results like this than I would if I were starting with a light color of cardstock and applying dark inks to it. Let's go ahead and make a card with the green background first. I put little foam dots around all of the ornament windows. And then I'll add this on to a top folding white note card. Now for this particular design, I printed tiny little strips on printer paper of 24 things to do for others leading up to Christmas. So one says make something for a friend, one says mail a card, one says give a thank you note, one says hug a teacher, just things that I can do with my kids leading up to Christmas, just to, put a little good out in this world. I also plan to make a few extra of these to give to Lila's friends. That was her idea, and she helped me come up with the different ideas to put inside. So I have a little printed message to go behind each of these windows. And because I use foam tape, there's plenty of room for them to rest inside, and I made sure the foam tape kept them from sliding down. Now on this, I added some silver bows that I just tied some silver thread into tiny bows and added it to a few of the ornaments with some strong liquid adhesive. And I also added some gemstones to the background. So really this card takes very little time to make. It's really coming up with those ideas and printing them that takes the longest. I also stamped and heat embossed a Merry Christmas sentiment from this new Hero Arts Warm Animals stamp set. Those little animals are super cute, and that Merry Christmas seemed to be the perfect fit for the front of this card. That's another new stamp set, and I'll link to that below too. You can see that beautiful ombre look that we get from dark to light, all thanks to that one white pigment ink. I also removed those ornaments from the cling background stamp and stamped them onto the matching envelope, and you can see how it's a perfect match. Okay, so Lila helped me with this next advent calendar card also. For this one, she plans to send it to her grandma who lives in Oklahoma. Now, the nice thing is each day, grandma can open up an ornament and see a different message from Lila underneath. So I had Lila write each of those into the card. To do this was very easy. I took the background and held it over white cardstock, and then I traced inside each of the window openings with a pencil. Lila then wrote her little messages or drew her little pictures with pencil, and then went back and traced it with a black pen. When she was done, I just erased all of the pencil lines, and now we have something behind each of the windows that we'll put on top. Next, I'm going to place the die back in place, but I'm not going to cut it. Instead, I'm going to trace around it with my pencil, so I know where to trim this so that I can put it behind a die cut background and it will line up nicely. So I'm going to take my scissors and I'm cutting just inside of that pencil line. So we want it to be slightly smaller than the die that will be over top so it doesn't peek out the sides. I put foam tape around all of the window openings on the back of this piece, and now I'm going to lay it right on top of the message piece, making sure that I can see all of the greetings through the windows. Now I'll go ahead and glue this onto a white note card, and we'll have little messages behind each of those windows. It didn't take long for Lila to do that, so we're actually going to make some for aunts and uncles too to send in the mail. This is a fun thing to do with kids to send to family members who are far away during the holidays. Now on this one, I'm also putting a Merry Christmas sentiment, and note that I only put foam tape on one of the ornament flaps. That way I can still make sure that you can flip open those little ornaments easily to see what's underneath. I again added tiny little bows that I created from some silver string, and I used Gina K Connect adhesive to add those in place. I also used that adhesive to add little white iridescent gemstones to the background for a little bit of sparkle. So here you can see that beautiful red ombre that we get. It looks like it's going from pink to red. Very easy to do with that white pigment ink and an ink blending tool. You can also see how all of the windows open easily to show a little message underneath. Now, if you don't have these products and would like to make an advent calendar card like this, one thing that you could do is die cut a bunch of small circles and then just adhere the top of the circle onto the card so that you create little flaps that you can put anything you want underneath. Now, before we go, I wanted to show you one other background that I created. This I did with dark purple cardstock, and I applied the white pigment ink, as I showed before, to create an ombre look. Now, I realized afterwards that I messed up the embossing. I didn't completely emboss in the bottom left area. So instead of using the whole background, and I didn't want to throw it away, I just went ahead and cut little ornaments from the background. So that's another way you can use this background stamp and die. You can cut out little ornaments that you can add to another card, or you could skip using the die and just use the cling stamp as a background stamp. All right, there you have easy ombre inking and some fun advent calendar card designs. If you are interested in the supplies, I always link them below in my YouTube description. In the middle are a couple other videos. That one on the left there shows another fun way to use white pigment ink very quickly on a card. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon and have a wonderful week.